Hey guys, welcome back to TCG Bros. Today we're going to be doing a different update for a Blue-Eyes Shining Dragon deck profile. But before I get into this, let me just say a couple things. My Blue-Eyes deck is better than this to start, because the objective of that deck is not as hard to reach. That deck, your goal is just to win with Blue-Eyes, which that's a lot easier to do than with Shining. The second thing is, don't expect this deck to compete with meta, because it's not a meta deck. This is a rogue deck, and your objective with this is to pull off probably the hardest summon in the entire game. So, if you play this against other rogue decks, it should do okay. I've tested it for a while now, and the basic core of it is the Blue-Eyes deck, but like I said, the regular Blue-Eyes deck is better. This is just a fun alternative Blue-Eyes Shining Dragon deck. So I'll go ahead and give you guys my profile and the rundown. My basic explanation is this thing is like a stall to win. But anyway, start off with two beautiful Blue-Eyes Shining Dragons, 3 Blue-Eyes, 3 Maiden with the eyes of blue. So it's looking pretty familiar so far to my Blue-Eyes deck. 3 White Stone, 2 Swordsman. And like I said, Swordsman is going to be part of your stall play, because this deck, it's all about stall and draw. So, got 2 Bright Star. Those are just to hit off your Maiden plays once you target Maiden and go for a level 7 Synchro off of it. 1 Honest, 1 Rider of the Stormwind. This is mainly just going to be a card the Consonance target. And 1 Ice Darkness Metal Dragon. And you may think it's bad to banish dragons with this deck, but since we're going to be playing Burial from a Different Dimension, which I'll show here in just a second, that is not such a bad plan. 2 Dragon's Mirror. This is better than Polymerization for a Shining Dragon deck, just because if your Blue-Eyes are in the grave, that serves as a good thing. So when you're trading targeting to the grave all of your stuff, and even like say for example you go Cards of Consonance with a White Stone, you can get a Blue-Eyes to the hand with that, potentially use as a trade-in target, and if your 3 Blue-Eyes aren't in the grave, you can hit one of these off for a 5-headed. And if you have to banish any Blue-Eyes, you can get them back to the graveyard with Burial, and then hit off another Dragon's Mirror potentially. So, depending on how you play the deck, you can do a lot of different combos. So we got 2 Mystical Space Typhoon, 1 Burial from a Different Dimension. You really need this card in order to potentially go for a second Dragon's Mirror, because that means you could potentially go into 2 Blue-Eyes Shining Dragons. If you go Dragon's Mirror and then you play this, get all 3 Blue-Eyes back to the grave, hit another Dragon's Mirror. So the combo potential with that card in Dragon's Mirror is pretty big. We have 1 Day of Peace, like I said, part of the stall. 1 Raigeki. 3 Cards of Consonance. In the regular Blue-Eyes deck, I only run 2, but this deck, you just want to draw as much as possible and throw things to the grave. Like, you want to be getting all the dragons to the grave, the Blue-Eyes, the White Stones. You want to get every monster you have basically to the grave or on the field as fast as possible. So to continue that, we got our 3 trade-in. Like I said, you can use Swordsman or Blue-Eyes for your targets for this card, so that is a little bit of how that works. We got 3 Upstart. I don't play Upstart in the regular Blue-Eyes deck anymore, but since this one is there's such a need with this deck for draw power, you need to just get into your cards as fast as possible, because eventually you won't be able to stall anymore. So you need to, while you're stalling, just get as much as possible into the grave and hand and field. And traps, we got 1 Bottomless, like I said, that's part of the stall. 2 Fiendish, also part of the stall. Because you don't want to have too much stall and not enough draw power is the problem. Because if you only have stall, you're not going to be drawing into the things you need in order to win. So then we finish out with triple Reckless Greed. Be very careful of how you play Reckless Greed, because if you flip one of these without another draw card in your hand, you'll lose the game probably. You have to be smart about how you play Reckless Greed. So, be forewarned about the use of Reckless Greed. For our extra deck, you're going to want to run 2 Blue-Eyes Shinings. I don't have a second one with me right this second, but play 2 Blue-Eyes Shinings just in case you hit off that potential, because you have so much draw power, there is potential for you to get a massive hand, which means you could get, later on in the game, 3 Blue-Eyes in the grave, pull in Dragon's Mirror, have a Burial, and another Dragon's Mirror in hand. So you just go Dragon's Mirror into an ultimate, Burial, get 3 Blue-Eyes back, Dragon's Mirror again, have 2 Blue-Eyes ultimates on field, and potentially end up with a Shining and a Blue-Eyes ultimate at the same time. Then for instances where that doesn't work out, you can go into 5-headed, which works out pretty well most of the time. We got 3 Azure-Eyes Silver Dragon. You don't really need 3, but like I said, you could probably play this deck with very little extra deck at all. I just have mine fully loaded just for options, basically. But since your main objective is going to be going into Ultimate, you can play this deck with only your 5-headed and 2 Blue-Eyes Ultimates, and probably 1 Azure-Eyes, if that. So you don't need all the extra deck I'm going to show, but it's good to have if you want to have a better chance against rogue decks and surviving. So, 1 Star Eater. This is all basically coming straight from the Blue Eyes deck. 1 Ancient Sacred Wyvern, 1 Clear Wing, 1 Black Rose, 1 Michael, 1 Heliopolis, 1 Felgrand, 1 number 107, and 1 Dark Matter. Because the thing with Dark Matter is, if you go into Dark Matter off of 107, you've had 2 Blue Eyes on the deck to get into 107, or somehow you've made a play with Swordsman. So let's say you go Swordsman, Blue Eyes overlay, you 107, you overlay this on 107. That would mean you detach Blue Eyes, send potentially your other Blue Eyes and White Stones to the grave. Now all of your Dragon's Mirror targets are in place. So the combos with this deck can take a while to learn, but if you know what you're doing, if you've mastered playing the Blue Eyes deck, the plain variant of this deck, you should be able to get this pretty easily. But if not, just test it out, feel out the deck, let me know what you guys think of it. I've had a few successful runs at grinding out games and going into big comebacks for the win. But sometimes the game's not going to start out how you want, because like I said, you're trying to do one of the hardest things in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh here. So don't expect this deck to be the greatest deck of all time, because it's one of the hardest to manage decks of the game. But anyway, I hope this helps. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, because I know you guys love the Blue Eyes. So we'll see how the Shining goes, and if it goes well and you guys like it, we'll keep updating it and try to make it better. And I will see you guys soon with another video.